The first time I saw glass, I remember it as if it were yesterday.
Go a little bit more, Mike.
And it was just this incredible moment where you walk into a semi-dark space and there's glowing, holes of fire all over the place. And I remember this long, beautiful, elegant thing dancing away in the end of a stick attached by one tiny little point. I'm gonna cry. It seemed like magic. It was incredible. I just said to myself, I'm gonna learn how to do that someday. I've never been so certain about anything. So I come from a wonderful line of artists, and I'm fourth generation in my family. There actually are a few generations further back still, but there's a gap in between. My grandmother was a sculptress. My great-grandmother was a sculptress. My grandfather was an oil painter, and my father was a jeweler, a goldsmith at that time. And so our house was filled with our family's collection of work. And I remember as a kid, some friends that would come over and said, going to your house is like going to a museum. It just, we'd have pedestals here and the walls were filled with art. In my heart, I knew I was an artist of some sort. I just didn't know what my form of expression needed to be. And my father signed me up for a lamp working class, flame working class, which is working with glass on a torch, smaller scale. And it's a little bit like jewelry. So he thought, you like jewelry, perhaps you'll like this lamp working. I actually didn't take to it at all, surprisingly, but it was right next to the glassblowing studio. I was 18 at that point, and I just said, what have I been doing this whole time? And I ended up watching every single demonstration of that class, and it happened to be another very well-known artist today. His name is Mark Petrovic, and he's been a mentor and a boss and many things over the years. It starts off at 2,000 degrees when you take it out of the furnace. That's as fresh as you're gonna get. And that's what we call fresh glass. It's untouched. As soon as you touch it, it gets cold. As soon as you touch it, it starts to remember that you touched it, and it will respond accordingly. Our range is somewhere between maybe 1,100 degrees and 2,000 degrees. But so many different processes can happen within that range that can create such wildly different bodies of work. And as soon as it's cold, it sets up, it's rigid, it won't blow out, it won't move for you, and it eventually will start to crack. So it keeps you on your toes. Because once you're in there, it demands all your attention, full attention. You're distracted for a few moments at the wrong time, and your piece is off and you can't put it back. There's so much delicate work that goes into glassblowing that the viewer can't see. It's a balancing act. So if you pause for just a split second at the wrong time when the glass is hot, it's off center. The whole piece is off. And so the glass will direct me a lot, not so much me directing it.
Let's not let this get too long.
I'll sit down and blow this time.
Yeah.
I like to generate a feeling of lightness. I like to capture the imperfect, but make it perfect in my own way. So the series that I call Crumples evolved in graduate school, and very literally, I started by making spheres and taking the calipers and measuring them and trying to get them as perfect as I could, being a hand-blown form. And at one point I said, I'm gonna make this sphere as perfect as I can, and then I'm gonna get it way too hot, and I'm just gonna let it collapse, and I'm just gonna crumple the heck out of it as if it were a piece of paper, and you've done a sketch and you're upset and you don't like it and you don't wanna look at it again, and you crumple it up, throw it away. So it started off as a release. I'm gonna make this perfect thing to say that I can, a simple sphere, and then crumple it and throw it away. And I started to get really fascinated with these folds that were happening. And I think about each piece as a living thing. It's an inanimate object, but to me it's not. I mean, I'm pouring my feeling into it. So if I can't get that light to pour through it and have it breathe and be, then it's not a completed piece. What I tend to do a lot is write about my feelings, and I don't capture them well through drawing, so I capture them more by writing the words down and trying to capture that moment in my mind that I feel something, and then play in the shop. And when I finally find something that I played with in the shop that matches a certain feeling I have, sort of lock into that and then try to move forward with it in that sense. But it's a very organic way of approaching things. I'm not methodical. I like to make a whole bunch of parts and then bring all these parts back to my studio and look at them and see how they're talking to me and see how they move or not. I want the viewer to really feel something beyond saying, oh, that's a lovely object. Hopefully it's more than that, and it goes deeper than that. Perhaps, words can't express it.
I'll put one high, and then two high, and then two.
I'm actually getting to work now that I've had in my sketchbook for 10 years. And these things, I think, they keep evolving in that way. You have an idea, and my thought is, if it doesn't go away, if it doesn't leave you alone, go away, it's because it's worth it. So it has to survive and be so bright in my mind, sort of this image that's burned into my mind before I'll say, okay, this is gonna be a long adventure. Roll up your sleeves, it could be several months, it could be a few years before this piece is seen through, but just keep that spirit. That's what you have to do.